Welcome back to The Hollywood Hang, a podcast about the highs, lows, and hell no's of this crazy industry. I am Nick, one of your hosts.
And I am Tepper.
And
the
I'm
other
Spencer.
host.
Oh, I was going to say, are you the other host?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm Tepper, the other host.
Today, we have someone that we've mentioned. We've mentioned him almost every episode, it feels like.
Yeah.
We find a way to bring him up. Spencer Lackey is a filmmaker who has amassed over 6 million followers across platforms, making short-form narrative horror content. His directorial debut, which I just watched, You Are Here, premiered at the Midnight Madness section of Holly Shorts this year. You've probably seen his videos, even if you don't think you have, and you've probably been very scared. So, Spencer, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I'm a big fan.
I'm so excited. The short was very scary, but I have to say, like, just up front, I'm obsessed with when people, I have no memories because I did too many drugs, but I'm obsessed when people find something that I can recall. And you know that, what are those things called that the kid's playing in at first?
Oh, the parachute. Yeah, the rainbow parachute.
I had the same fear. Like, I did not enjoy those as a child. I remember being like, I'm stuck in here, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And you doing that was so a spark in my brain that I haven't felt in so long. It was beautiful.
Totally. Well, first of all, I very much relate to the doing too many substances and forgetting everything.
This is becoming a very incriminating podcast for
Yeah,
everyone.
It is. I've
So quickly, I'm so
since
sorry.
embraced sobriety because of that. Yeah, it was that was something, man, that was a very early memory from daycare where we'd all be around, we'd have the parachute and then we'd all sit on the inside of it. And then you just kind of sit there and look at each other and then you get out of it. But yeah, that You Were Here was really just an endeavor to try and do something super nostalgic and kind of liminal. And we wanted to make a short film that kind of felt like you were a kid lost in a grocery store. And we also wanted to have a really cool monster and a really cool scare.
I love the design of the monster.
Oh
It's
my
very
God.
cool.
Thank you.
I was uncomfy. Nick will tell you I'm not great with scary. And I was literally like this. I was like, oh, he's doing it again.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, that's
wanted-
what we want.
I wanted to ask you about just kind of that aesthetic in general, because I feel like you kind of pioneered that lo-fi filter, the TikTok, short form short, but also the aesthetic of your film and just that liminal space thing you're talking about and kind of the childhood nostalgia. And, we've all seen those TikToks where it's not even scary stuff. It's just creepy music, but then it's going through all the imagery from our childhood and somehow it becomes really creepy and sad. So I'm just curious to talk to you about that aesthetic. Why do you think that is such a massive thing on social media, and why do you think it's scary?
Yeah, it's really taken off, hasn't it? I see so many, there's a word for it too. It's nostalgia core, liminal core, and people and you see those TikToks, there are carousels where people are just posting your birth month, your liminal space, right? And they're just kind of addicting. I love those. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something inherently creepy about it. My videos, for example, I'm really just using an in-app filter that kind of makes it look old and vintagey. But otherwise, it's very straightforward, I think, storytelling. But something about the filter makes it creepy. And I always use this example because I think it's kind of funny. And yeah, I was watching Better Call Saul recently, and I was late.
So
to it.
good.
It was a fantastic show. But there's a moment in the show where they, spoiler alert, they what's the uncle's name with the bell?
Tio Salamanca. They just call him Tio.
Yeah, Tio Salamanca.
Yeah.
They Gus basically has him spoiler alert, he has him put into a nursing home. And he's sort of watching him through these cameras and keeping his eye on him. There's a scene in Gus's house where he's just standing in front of the TV and he's watching this video. Tio Salamanca's, and Tio Salamanca's checking somebody out. And that's kind of I guess the point of the scene is oh, he's still in there even though his body's not working anymore. But the way they shot it was just they were shooting the TV screen and it was sort of like a similar like vintage aesthetic look to it. And they just slowly pushed in on Tio Salamanca as he like slowly like turned his head to check this person out, which is like objectively funny, but the way it was shot and just like by nature of the way that the video looked, it was kind of creepy. And I really don't know what it is. Something about just like mixing nostalgia and horror works super well. And I think it just like taps into something deep inside all of us. Yeah, but I really can't speak to it. I've just like noticed that it works, and I'm trying to milk it as much as I can.
I want to talk about, so like your short, I want to go like all the way back to how this all started, because your short had so much of what is inherently in your TikToks. Like there was no dialogue, I want to say, and it was all emotion on your face, but like the had like, I don't know, everything, it felt very resonant of like, I love that you do the text on screen that tells you like what the people might be saying to each other in your TikToks. And like, how did you even get started with making all of these TikToks? And also your output is crazy.
Yeah. I've worked it into my routine for sure. But yeah, I started, I had a TikTok account for a long time. And when I first started out, I was posting videos that I thought were so funny, but nobody else did. And they like each one got like 100 or 200 views. And then I saw this trend going around. This was like early 2023. And you've probably seen these videos before, but it was using audio from the Mandela Catalog, which is this analog horror series on YouTube. And the audio clip is just like this robotic voice saying, if you see another person that looks like you, run away and hide. And all of these people were making these videos very like DIY, just by themselves in their apartments, where they'd be like doing some mundane task. And then they look up, and then across the room, it would just be them like staring at them with wide eyes. And it's kind of silly, but it was also, I thought, like super effective. And as somebody who's always loved horror, and who, like most horror fans, I think was traumatized by a horror movie at a very young age, and then like have been like seeking that feeling ever since.
What movie traumatized you?
The Shining, but not the Kubrick one. It was the Shining miniseries that Mick Garris did in 1997.
Oh.
It was like this 3-disc series, and not to go on a tangent, but I was at the DVD store with my dad. It was not Blockbuster. It was like a knockoff. We were about to go on a long drive because we're from the Midwest. So it was like this 16-hour drive, and I had a portable DVD player. And he was helping me pick out a DVD, and it was between The Shining and The Transporter. With two very different
experiences.
Yeah, right. But he was like, you watch The Transporter, it's very action-packed. You can watch The Shining, which is scary, but I think you can handle it. So I was like, oh, wow, okay, I'll do The Shining. And yeah, it was intense. It was like the first scary thing I've ever watched. But in this version of The Shining, which is a little more, true to the book, you like watch Danny go into room 217, and you watch him like pull the shower curtain back, and you see the dead woman in the bathtub. And that was the first time that I'd ever been like full on scared by something that I was watching. Like I remember sitting in the backseat of the car and like not being able to like feel my limbs. Like it was like real trauma. It was actually kind of insane. And yeah, I had that experience, and then I was like terrified to go into bathrooms. And
understandable.
Yeah, it was horrible. And I was like 10 years old, and that feeling sort of like subsided over some time, and then I just sort of like started chasing it for some reason. I was like, okay, now I want to watch something else that makes me feel that way, and then fast forward to now. Sorry, that was a tangent.
No, that was amazing.
So I've always been like super into horror. And then this trend takes off, and I'm seeing these videos on TikTok where people are embracing horror and they're effective. And so I made one, and that video that I made that had, if you see another person that looks like you, run away and hide, got 1,000 views. I was like, oh my God, people are watching these and they're super fun to make. So I made another one, and it got 2,000 views. Then I made a third one, and this one wasn't using that audio. It was using a different piece of audio, but the third video I made was just like a blatant jump scare. And it shouldn't have taken off because TikTok really doesn't like that. TikTok really doesn't like jump scares. They'll slap a sensitive content warning on something that's too scary or like too like in your face. But for some reason, this one flew under the radar and it just took off. And all of these people all of a sudden were like really, really kind in the comment section and really supportive and encouraging, which is something that I've noticed with my content that not everybody is lucky to have. Like I found that, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this too, but like Kid Laser, for example, who I know you had on your show, like I've seen him field some like really nasty comments, and just for like stating a very eloquent, like well thought out opinion on a movie that maybe he thought was okay and not great. Mm-hmm. And then like people in his comment section going like you should fucking die. And it's just fucking crazy. Whereas like I'm making these little skits and I don't see anything like that. People are on the whole very supportive, which is part of why I think there's been some longevity to it.
Too scared to be mean.
Yeah, they're like, we can't be mean to this guy. But me and Nick have talked about this. I feel like people who love horror are like rooting for everybody else who like wants to make it or also loves it. So I feel like when you like find yourself in that world, it's like bless Nick, a bunch of freaks being like, fuck yeah, like we're doing this thing and like it's scaring people. And so I feel like that's probably the audience that you like were able to cultivate.
Definitely. Just such a great group of people, I think, horror lovers. And I've been able to meet a few since I've been here and some people that work in the industry and meeting you guys too. And yeah, it's just a really, really warm, embracing community that I'm very happy to be a part of. Just really cool people.
How quickly did the first like quote unquote industry person reach out to you to talk about what you were doing with your horror shorts on TikTok?
Man, it's funny. So I wonder how quickly it was. I came to New York. I moved to New York out of school and I went to acting school. And I was like, I'm going to be an actor. I always wanted to work in film and like in some sort of collaborative way, but I wasn't entirely sure how that was going to pan out. And so I was in New York for 6 years, just like waiting tables and not really getting auditions and getting some agents and then getting dropped by some agents. And yeah, just not a lot of movement. And then TikTok happened and I got very lucky and I started making videos every night. And it was probably, I think it was like 4 to 5 months when my agent reached out to me just on TikTok. He sent me a DM and he was like, hey, let me know if you're interested. But I'd love to chat horror with you. And then he put his email address and I was like, oh my God, I've been working for this for so long and now it just kind of like fell into my lap in this other way. So that happened.
And then to clarify for the listener, this is like a film agent, not like a digital agent, right?
Yeah. This is a literary agent at Gersh, which was great. And, you know, I'd like, it was just kind of bizarre because when I graduated, you know, naturally, at any acting school, you're going to have people who like maybe really hit the ground running. And we definitely had, you know, like 1 or 2 people who like right out of college, like signed with Gersh or signed with another agency and they like started working in TV and the rest of us, didn't. And so to see that email address at the bottom of that message was just like, just mind blowing to me.
Wait, we can cut this out, but I'm just curious. Is this the same Gersh agent who reps Reese and Stuckman?
Yeah, it's Jonathan.
Oh, so that's like he's got all the digital people. Interesting.
He's on it. Yeah. He is on it.
It's funny. We met him the other
at Shelby
night.
Oaks. Yeah,
he was telling me that. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
interesting.
He's a really good guy. And
so when was that you got repped by the agency?
There was never like an official signing.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, okay, I think I'm working with these people now. And I remember like really wanting to and like really, I don't know, needing somebody to advocate for me because, I don't necessarily have that skill, especially like in a business setting. And I'm really sort of new to the industry and trying to absorb as much as I can, but I I really needed somebody in my corner. So at a certain point, I kind of just broached the question. I texted him and I was like, I forget how he framed it, but I was like,
"Are you my agent?"
Yeah. Basically, I was like, can I, like for something or other, like, can I call you my agent and will you be my girlfriend?
In fourth grade, when you have to ask that question,
yeah, exactly.
yes.
It's like kind of infantilizing, but I was like, I need this.
But okay, this is what I think is really fun. That like you were like, oh, like I got lucky with TikTok, but like you're also saying every night you made a video. Like that's not like luck. Like I feel like you were like, oh, this thing is working. And like I'm getting recognition. Were you cognizant at that time to be like, this could be an avenue for me to do the thing I love? Or was it just an outlet? Or were you like, this could be a stepping stone for me?
I was definitely aware of, I guess when I first started making videos and they first started taking off, it was really just like doing it because it was fun and people were responding to it. And I didn't really know, I didn't really understand the possibilities that could come from making the videos. And then like as my agent reached out to me and then I got managers and they sort of we started having the conversations about like what this could yield and how to position myself. And in those conversations, there was sort of like a shift in the mindset where I'd gone to school to be an actor and I'd always, had this idea in my head of how everything was going to work out. And then this other pathway sort of opened up and it kind of felt like this was the right path all along. And it just, the door needed to open and now it's just like following that path and seeing where it goes. I do think, yeah, there obviously like I make videos every night and to a certain degree I've like worked it into my routine and to your point, I used to drink every night. So this was a nice thing to replace that with.
That is, wow.
Yeah. But also, I guess I don't want to understate the amount of luck that I had with that one video that really took off. And that I definitely needed that to have the drive to then make videos every night. And I guess you kind of hear that all the time with people in the industry who, at least from people I've talked to who say like, it's a lot of hard work, but you definitely need that little bit of luck to get things going too.
Well, and it's like a confidence boost. Like I got an 8 on the blacklist when I was like just really starting writing. And like I needed that because I was such a business person that I like needed something, which is like a little luck to get it that good of a score to tell me that I could follow this other path. So it's like all these little moments, I think.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, that's awesome too. An 8 on the blacklist is sweet. Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know. I sometimes talk to people who are like still in school at the school I went to, and I kind of try and hold true that like I really don't know much, but I can offer advice. I can speak to what I do know and my experience, and that is just kind of what we're saying, where like it takes a lot of hard work to kind of open doors, but also like you do need to get lucky to a degree. And like I know so many people who are very talented, who are amazing creators, I think, and for some reason that like the algorithm isn't working out for them, or like that, I guess that door is staying shut for now. And yeah, I mean, I can imagine it would have been a lot harder for me to kind of do what I'm doing now if I hadn't had an early video really take off. It's tough. Who's to say? So
you get repped, and I'm assuming you start to do a bunch of meetings in person when you're here and also probably on Zoom. How was the vibe of like when you would meet with producers, execs? Would they kind of place the emphasis on the digital stuff? Like, did they seem interested that you were coming from that other space? Because I feel like now, like Curry Barker, Stockman, like everybody, there's a huge moment.
Yeah.
But like a few years ago, not necessarily as big, and I think people were a little more hesitant that people could like cross over. So what has been like the general vibe of just walking into those rooms coming from the digital space, or did no one even really bring it up?
There was always like a conversation about like, where both of us came from, me and the producer, but everybody on the whole was very like, it seemed like everybody had, in all of these meetings, everybody had already embraced the fact that like I was there to take a meeting about making movies, as opposed to, I don't know, like more of like an emphasis on the transition into filmmaking. Like everybody was very generous in treating me as somebody like who belonged in that room, even though there were certainly times when I did not belong in that room, or that I was kind of out of my element. But yeah, I mean, the nice thing is like, I don't know, with the digital space, like obviously I'm working with myself and I have a tripod in my phone, and my fiance goes to bed at night, and then I like put on wigs and like do it all by myself. And then like when we did the short film, it was, I sort of naively thought it was going to be a 1-to-1, like, oh, we can just kind of figure it out as we go.
It's just, we just turn the camera like this. And then...
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I do this every night. And it very much was not that. There were so many, pretty much like every pitfall that I could have walked into, I did walk into. And it was a massive learning experience. So yeah, it was very generous of all of these producers to kind of like take my experience on socials and say like, oh, he can easily translate this into filmmaking, where in my experience, I was like, okay, that there's actually a lot that I needed to learn making that short film, and still a lot that I need to learn in hopefully making my first feature. But that's not to say that I think the reps on TikTok haven't been helpful, because I think I've definitely been developing muscles in terms of maybe storytelling and scares. And now it's more about collaboration and working with people and talking about a vision and making sure everybody's on the same page.
And when you go to those,
you go.
When you go to those meetings and when you were starting out, did you have a feature? Do you have the short in mind? Did you also have a few feature ideas that you were like, this is what I would love to do? And are you kind of, and this is a kind of like, I guess, a conversation you might have with your managers. Are you hoping to tell these execs like, hey, I've got an idea about an evil clown, and then be like, okay, you go write that and we'll pay for you to write that? Or what's like the conversation in the rooms that you're having?
So, this was a conversation with my reps. And it was actually a conversation before I even did the short, because early on when I was making TikToks, I knew that I wanted to be moving into the filmmaking space and making horror films specifically, because that's where my heart was. And I was lucky enough to have that friend that I mentioned who works at Blumhouse, and I chatted to him, and he was like, here's what you need to do. You should make a short film. You should take it to festivals. And when you go to those festivals, you should have a feature script and a pitch deck ready to go. I was like, okay.
That's wild to hear. This is amazing to hear, because that is still like, you have amassed this amazing following that people love your work, and that's still like,
and the instructions are the same.
The instructions are the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Because I mean, I guess I can't really, prescribe that much meaning to it, but as far as I understand, like my TikToks are very simple when it comes to storytelling. It's very easy to make a beginning, middle, and end in a simple video that lasts like 30 seconds to a minute. Whereas I think
you're selling yourself short.
Yeah.
You are.
Okay, I'll stop doing
it.
It
is shorts and TikToks. I'm so fascinated by it, because like to catch somebody, to keep them there, and to tell a story in that finite amount of time is like a very big talent. So
yeah. There's definitely fair enough. Yeah, there's definitely like utilizing the hook, and I think there's a bit of a shift when it comes to translating that into longer form storytelling. I think the challenge for a lot of creators who are making minute-long videos, who kind of have that muscle for getting people involved right away and like hooking people immediately, is like, okay, can that creator then like keep people interested for like a 7-minute story or like a 30-minute or an hour and a half,
I also feel like no matter how simple the short is, seemingly simple, I mean, this is coming from my brain as somebody who often has to pitch on like IP, but there's not really a story there. I mean, you think about the David Sandberg short film, which is not dissimilar from what you're doing. lights out. Like that's not, there's kind of a little gimmick there. Like I understand it's the light switch, but not like a full story. And then Eric Heiser comes in and like fleshes that all out. But I think even with the short that you sent us, I was like, oh yeah, there could be, there's something there that's, you can really expand
to build on. Yeah. So do you have a feature for that?
Yeah. So in that conversation with my buddy, I was like, okay, I was like, piece of cake, and it wasn't a piece of cake. And we did the short, and then my fiance, she did a script coverage internship at a production company, and she's also just very smart. And so in talks to like basically write the feature of this, first of all, we wrote down 10 log lines and sent them to my managers. We were like, which ones do you think are good? Which ideas do you think work? And they were like, we think this one works. And so my fiance and I outlined it together, and we came up with the story and the characters, and then she just wrote it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And she did a great job. And so, yeah, we finished that screenplay, and we like did a couple of rounds of notes with my team. And then, yeah, we just sort of sent it off along with the short, and the screenplay ended up taking on a bit of a different, and I think you hear this probably a lot, but it's not like narratively the same. And the short is sort of narratively murky, but a lot of like,
it's just like a tone. It's just the tone, right?
Like
it's like here's how it'll feel. Yeah,
right. We were like, how can we actually make a story with characters out of this? And so we kind of like fleshed out that story and came up with a more traditional narrative structure for this movie that we wrote. But yeah, sort of it now the short's like having its own little festival run, which is nice, and kind of finishing its little life in the festival circuit, and then I'll post it on YouTube. And yeah, we're simultaneously like, sending the screenplay to producers and seeing who's interested. We have 2 producers on board now who are kind of like, we're going back and forth with notes. But yeah, it's all a learning experience, and I think it's probably maybe different for everybody. But yeah, I guess to tie it back to the TikTok and Instagram of it all, I certainly like, I think having that platform and having those followers and that, that built-in audience certainly opened a lot of these doors and gets a lot of producers interested in at least taking the meeting. And then it's more about like, okay, can this person be a filmmaker? Can this person like, write a story and direct a movie just as anybody else could?
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, I'm not trying to compare the digital space with like nepotism, but that is like the other side of the nepotism conversation, right? Like it gets them through the door, but nobody wants to hire someone who is going to blow a project and cost them money just because of that, right? Like you still have to, it gets you through the door, but you still have to prove yourself.
Prove it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I also feel like there's probably an added level of stress to be like, I have this whole audience. I can't really like, when you're in college and you make a short, no one's going to see it. Like, it doesn't really matter. But you're like, I have this whole built-in audience that I like want to level up for and not disappoint. I feel like I would be also nervous to like go up to the next level and hope that they still love it.
Definitely. Yeah. I wonder how, I'd wonder how Chris Stuckman's feeling about that. But I've heard amazing things about his movie. But
great jump scares.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
I was having a great time, but I was literally just like,
oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm really trying to get spooky this season. If you have any recs.
Did you go to Black Phone premiere the other night?
I did, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun. I definitely got jump scared. Yeah, that was really fun. And it's so funny, like, I live in New York, and it's honestly like whenever I'm there, it kind of just feels like I'm perpetually available to do anything. Like I'm just kind of filming at night, and I'm then just kind of hanging out. And then whenever I come to LA, and this is like a byproduct of just having reps who are like, okay, he's in town, like you need to see him now.
Everything,
now. It's just like one after the other. So yeah, it just kind of feels like I'm in this vacuum of just like meetings, and like talking to people. And then I go back to New York, and it's just like sleepy, But yeah, I went to that, and that was that was super fun. And like, I saw a bunch of like my heroes, which was crazy. Just these people that I've heard on podcasts and I've seen in interviews, and seeing them in person, and then like going to the after party, which was sort of like being in a like generic Hollywood movie where like everybody behind you is like, you're hearing like stock NPC dialogue of like, hey, it's like so-and-so from the Hollywood Reporter. And like, you know, it's just a whirlwind of, but I also met some really cool people too. And it kept my cool, I think. So it was fun. It was a good time.
In terms of your short, I was going to ask you, and by the way, it's funny because the movie I'm directing in January, I also wrote with my fiance. So we have
I was
double
going to say,
congratulations, by the way. That's
horror
so
writing
cool.
teams here. Thanks, dude.
It's premiering at Fantastic Fest next year.
Next year, yeah.
My God, wild. Short turnaround too.
I know, it's crazy.
He has to film it and then get married.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a few weeks later.
Wow.
But I was going to ask you, so you said earlier, we were talking about this filter, right? And the sort of lo-fi analogness of TikTok. And obviously in the short film, you're not only turning the camera 16:9, you are you're shooting not with this like digital filter, right?
It's
and
all beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm curious, how do you still make it feel lo-fi and still that vibe when it's like cinematic? Because this is the same thing with the backrooms, right? Like, I'm so interested to see how is that movie going to turn out when you give it a budget? Because the whole thing was that it was very DIY, VFX. And so how do you preserve the lo-fi when you're like going cinematic mode?
That's a great question. I don't know that I've ever like really thought about it. For example, like our feature, we decided to really utilize home videos because of that, because the idea of like watching Uncle Tio, through a camera is inherently scary, even if it's not meant to be. So
you are going to love Shelby Oaks. I can't wait.
I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. And that's why I think like movies like Sinister are super effective. I think probably the through line is memory. And, that filter is basically saying like, I am old and I like captured a memory from like X many years ago. And I think there are probably other ways to like make things feel nostalgic and sort of like memory core as well. Just in like, I don't know, there are probably 100 ways to do it. And we tried to do it with You Are Here without utilizing the filter, just in maybe the storytelling and the sort of like ambiance and the lighting and the coloring.
The ambiance. The office scene was really, I was like, oh, this is like so back in time.
Yeah.
But very like beautifully shot. But like, yeah, it had like that, not retro vibe, but there's something like,
yeah, the locations for sure.
Did you shoot that in LA?
We did. We shot
I
in LA.
remember you saying you were in town, you were shooting a short.
Yeah. I think we were talking back then. That was like a year ago. It's just crazy how long these processes take, especially with the festivals.
Is that a shock? Is that like a hard part for you where you're like, oh, you're like, I could just post this and I can get my like kind of gratification of like a fun thing that I'm sharing versus like this new process where it's like must do festivals before anyone sees.
Yeah. I think the hard part about it too, at least with the short, I don't know if this would translate to like a feature film that I've like dedicated my everything to, but yeah, like I filmed You Are Here a year ago and we finished it and we started submitting to festivals. We heard back from festivals and then like 9 months went by before it like premiered at a festival. And so, naturally you move on to other things. And then by the time the festivals come around, you're like, oh, I gotta kind of like remember what it was like to film this and talk about it. But yeah, you're right. TikTok is very much like, yeah, I can film it. I'm in charge of everything. It's all up to me. And I think that's going to be the biggest transitional challenge is suddenly I'm going to be working with people. This stuff takes a lot of time. It can take years. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm excited to sort of jump into it.
Here's a question. Is there a role for you in the feature? Are you going to be acting in it?
No. So, okay, that's a great question. That was one of the pitfalls that I fell into with You Are Here, or at least I felt like it was a pitfall. Obviously directing is a very like taxing process. And You Are Here, I was the star of, and I didn't have any dialogue. It's mainly just like when I'm doing my TikToks where I'm walking around and looking around. But God, I was exhausted by the end of every shoot because, I mean, you're always strapped for time. Everybody's always rushing. And then
You're
I'm
doing
doing
double
a take.
duty.
I'm doing a take, and then I got to like go back and watch the monitor and watch it through. And then I do another take. And then it got to the point where some of the takes I wasn't watching. And then I'd watch them in post and be like, oh, man, I know what I would have fixed, but it's too late. So I'm very, very excited to just be behind the monitor
I think it's
and
the right
working
call.
with actors. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have just the utmost respect for people who can do both.
I feel
But
like
I-
you'll be able
yeah.
to come back around to it. I also think for your first, it can be fun to like bring someone else into the part, like bring somebody else that you can kind of like direct into that too. Like I feel like that's a little
Totally.
freeing.
Like Curry's. Have you seen Curry's movie Obsession?
Not yet. I'm so excited to see it.
Oh,
I
you're gonna
love
love
Milk
it.
and Cereal.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. But he, he's similarly someone who was in a lot of his own stuff, and he decided to not be in his first thing, and he's going to be in the second project.
Yeah.
But I guess it's an interesting. I think you're totally making the right call, so you can just completely focus on the directing. But it is interesting, right? Because you're not only making this stuff, you are like quote unquote digital talent. Like people recognize you.
Yeah.
So I understand the inclination to like put yourself in it, but I think you made the right call. But you should be in the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I kind of like build the directing muscle, maybe. Yeah. Man, I loved Milk and Cereal, and I'm very excited to see Obsession. Yeah, I did an analog horror series on YouTube that was very much just like, in sort of downtime, this was something that I could do that could reach like a very niche audience.
I
But
don't think I've seen this.
Yeah.
it's called ASL, and it's kind of weird and also like murky narratively, but it was just like fun and something that I could just put out right away. But I hired two of my actor friends to work on that, and I just had them in a car, and we spent the day. And I got to spend the day just sort of like talking to each of them and being only a director and not worrying about, acting and then like looking at the take and then acting and looking at the take. And I just found it so gratifying and such an amazing experience to like watch the scene happen and then to talk to each of the characters. And yeah, I guess that's kind of the director I'd want to be too, is like, I think Mike Flanagan makes the kind of horror that is like so character driven and like the horror with a heart kind of thing, where it's like, okay, you're scared because you care about the characters. And I think that's a Stephen King quote too. But yeah, that the world I come from is the actor's world. And I just really found it to be a gratifying experience working with actors and figuring out the scene and their characters, and really focusing in on that when it came to like getting takes and telling the story of the scene. And that's something also that I really appreciate about Scott Derrickson, because he was posting on Threads during Black Phone 2, and he was basically every day, he was like, here's what I did today as a director on this film. And he said something to that extent to a finer point than I just did now. But it was like, I'm working with I'm really just focused on the scene and the characters and how the actors are working together and making sure that the story of the scene works. And yeah, it just got me really excited, and I really appreciate filmmakers who do that. David Sandberg being another one. Yeah, I think it's really cool giving back like that. Mike Flanagan as well.
Yeah. Tepper, have you seen Black Phone?
No, yes. Let me tell you, I am excited, but not. It might be a home one where I chase myself around the living room, but it's fine.
It's pretty hardcore. The second one is crazy. It's really
the
good.
second one is crazy too.
Yeah, no, it's very different.
Hardcore is the right word. There were some surprises when I was watching. I was like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was intense.
The reason I saw the original is because I actually think the premise is just like kind of I don't know, when there's like a premise that hooks me, I'll go see it, the scary movie, but I do prefer my living room where
totally.
I can like hide.
Joe Hill, Stephen King's kid. Great
there we
premise.
go.
Yeah.
Another very story driven horror, but Yeah, this is sort of a tangent, but I'm also just trying to like find as many horror movies as I can for spooky season and like really try and scare myself. And sometimes the scariest movies also like don't really have that much of a story, and they're just like super fucking scary. You guys
I'm
should
assuming,
watch.
have you seen Lake Mungo?
Seen Lake Mungo?
So good.
It horrified me.
Yeah.
It was kind of not embarrassing isn't the right word, but I watched it with a friend and he was just kind of like meh, and I was like terrified the whole time. I was like getting full body chills watching that movie. I thought it was so good.
Guys,
Ganjam
I'm
Haunted
watching.
Asylum is also.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen it?
I only saw that like a year ago.
It was horrifying.
Yeah, I had to like pause it. It's really, really scary.
Just for some context, I'd heard about that movie on TikTok. And this was a couple of years ago, and I had some friends over. We were hanging out, and I was like, let's watch this movie, because I've heard that it's really scary. And they were like, oh, okay. We turned out all the lights, and we sat down, and I turned it on, and it starts out, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of like a slow burn, and it doesn't really feel like a horror movie for like an hour. And people just started like filtering out. They were like, I gotta go. And I was like, and I was kind of like, sorry for turning this movie on. And then
Story of my life.
Yeah, right. I was like, I'm kind of embarrassed. And then it ended up just being me and one other dude. And he was like spending the night, and we were just kind of like, let's finish this out. And then the last 30 minutes of that movie happened. And it was like the most intense, like pedal to the metal, scary horror that I've ever seen. It was fantastic. I'm just recommending this movie to everybody that I meet, which is, I'm sure is annoying, but I'm just crazy about it. It's so scary.
You guys are sick. I'm literally like practical magic. I'm watching like Hocus Pocus. My Halloween spooky season is different than yours.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to be traumatized.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, how cute and cozy are we?
Yeah.
Have you seen, I don't know how to pronounce it, Noroi, The Curse?
Yeah.
That was another one that I was late on that genuinely I thought was really, really scary.
Me too. I was just like talk about like old looking footage to make something unsettling like the whole time. And then there's an image near the end of that movie that is just like burned to the back of my head.
Asian horror. Like the original, the Ring remake. That was one of my most like formative movies, and it's still, I think it's so genius.
Yeah. Do you have any horror movies that like really stuck with you that you saw when you were a kid that you were like, oh, this is me now?
When I was a kid, it was silly. Like it was Goosebumps. It was Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Dead Man's Float,
Are You Afraid
skeleton
of the Dark?
episode. Yeah.
Which was actually terrifying. Like all of those things were pretty scary.
Yeah, there's a great clown episode where they steal the clown's nose. There's some scary stuff. And then for some reason, like Mars Attacks, the aliens really, really scared me as a kid.
Wow.
I have a friend who has that as like a decoration, like a Halloween decoration. I can't imagine how much it costs. It like moves and everything. It's very realistic.
Cool. The movie's amazing. We revisited it a few Halloweens ago, and I was like, this is like kind of like very underrated masterpiece.
Wow. I've never seen it. I'll
really
watch
good.
that one.
That one is actually fun. Yeah.
So when you were writing this feature version of your short with your fiance, what was that process like? And were you, did you just focus on the story, or were you like, okay, abiding by the rules of like every 10 pages, something scary has to happen? Or were you thinking about structuring the scares?
I thought you were going to say, and also is your fiance always right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, like, the fiancés are always right.
Yes.
She is. Yeah. She is. We didn't abide by like the structure of like every 10 pages, every 5 pages. We just kind of generally tried to put a lot when it felt like it was earned. The process was great though, and it was great because we have a shorthand and we know that we love each other. So we could also have difficult conversations about the story and know that it wasn't like pointed in any other way. Whereas I at least at that point when we were writing it and starting out, I couldn't imagine working with somebody that I didn't know and sort of, navigating that relationship as well as, talking about, in the notes and the scares and like things that I thought didn't work. So it was fantastic. I mean, we really like were able to be honest with each other, and we're engaged and we're still engaged. So it was great. But we basically just kind of, we figured out the story and the characters, and like scene by scene, we outlined it. And so before she like went off to write it, we both had an understanding of kind of exactly how it was supposed to look and feel. And then she'd write it. And on the whole, like every time she'd send me the pages that she wrote, I'd be like, this is even better than, what I had in mind. So it was a very good experience. Not to say that it wasn't hard at times, and not to say that there weren't like difficult conversations, but I mean, on the whole, it was fantastic. It was great. I don't know if you had a similar experience writing with your fiance.
Yeah, no, it was kind of just a natural transition of like, she was my first, reader and kind of editor and like idea bouncer for so many years. And then we kind of just made that natural transition into writing stuff just for fun. I think during the strike, we wrote something for fun. But yeah, this recent one, it's been interesting because it's the first thing I've ever written first feature I've written that I know like will be shot relatively soon. So that process is, it's just different because, like this is not a theoretical script. This is like, has to be shootable, and we have to be able to make this with very, very little money.
Yeah.
Oh, Spencer, did you guys have any like comp scripts? Like I know like sometimes for like managers or teams will be like, oh, like if this is the vibe you're going, I think you should read these, iconic scripts. Did you have any of that, or were you guys just being like, this is the story we want to tell?
For the most part, we were like, this is the story we want to tell. We did read like Sinister, for example, which is also a movie that kind of utilizes old film tapes. And we're always trying to read horror scripts as well, like just scripts that I think are really good or really scary. But yeah, for the most part, we also didn't want too much influencing us when we were writing this story, and we wanted it to stand by itself and stand on the strength of the characters and the relationships. So yeah, we try and like compartmentalize, I guess. We'd read scripts, and we're always reading scripts, but we're also like, this is our thing, and it's good to know what works, and it's also good to like maybe try and deviate where we think it might be appropriate.
Can you say, does the script feature the same monster?
It features a monster that at one point will look very much like that monster. I'm so glad you like that monster. I
really loved it. It's really, the design is cool with the colors and
and like what it was doing. I hate when people do that. Like it's so but like so good.
Oh, that's fantastic. We hired this creature actor named Kevin Kepi, who is the sweetest man.
Amazing name.
Kevin he's the sweetest guy like I've maybe ever met in my life.
Is he in LA?
He's in LA.
Might have to grab him for something in my movie.
You should. He is like down. He was super. We were looking for creature actors, and I kind of went through IMDb Pro. I had like drawn this monster on like a notebook page, and I was like, I think I kind of want it to look like this, and then through TikTok we'd reached out to like a prosthetics artist, and there was a nice like online community that helped us make this film. But for Kevin, I had like compiled a list of creature actors that I loved in movies that I'd seen, and all of them, all of them had like basically a wall of reps that I'd have to go through, and we didn't really have that much money. And then Kevin just had his contact info, and he was in Smile. He was the mom in Smile.
He's 6'5".
He's 6'5".
Okay, I knew it. I was like, I thought he was on stilts. So I was like, this is crazy.
He is just a tall dude.
Wow.
And we reached out to him just on a whim, and he was like, yeah. And he did it. And he was just like a super sweet dude. And now I think he's working a lot more now, but he's like Julian Terry, who has done a lot of really awesome YouTube shorts, and he's making a feature now. He's used Kevin as a creature before.
Wow.
Kevin is just one of those people who's just like super down to like get scrappy and be scary.
And then you had somebody do like some practical work on him.
Yeah, we had he was in a bald cap, with like wispy hairs, and he had the parachute. And then we, through TikTok, got these guys, the McFarlane Bros, who are in Australia, but they make a lot of like VFX shorts, and they were super down to work on this. And we didn't want to like do too much to him because we thought he already looked pretty great. And he also had like a prosthetic nose on, so it was just like not like almost no. He was kind of Voldemort-y, and but we like whited out his eyes in post, and we gave him like kind of sharp teeth.
I'm screenshotting all these people. I'm just gonna use all these people for my feature.
yeah. You definitely should. They're super down. They're all really nice people. I'd be happy to like give you the full crew list. But yeah,
no,
I mean,
I'm joking.
No,
but
totally. It is. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's cool because I feel like what you're getting at, I mean, it's kind of like that was our whole pitch at Fantastic Fest, is we were kind of trying to position ourselves as like the digital team, because we already do have a lot of like digital just friends involved. And I feel like that is the power of like, it's not just the followers that can help you. It's like the community. Like you can start to really build that out. And then you have just, I mean, not only the reach grows, but yeah, it feels like everybody in that community does want to help each other.
Totally. It was awesome. I mean, I should have mentioned it before in sort of like the genesis of You Are Here, but it really was a coming together of digital artists, creators on TikTok who like our special effects, the special effects people that I mentioned, I'd been following them and they were great. And our prosthetics artist, she like makes prosthetic TikTok videos, and she makes like the Coraline button eyes, and she was awesome. And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just like a lot of people who were from the TikTok space who like, we all kind of followed each other. And then just came to them with the short, and I was like, would you be down to like do this? And we don't have like a ton of money, but we can maybe like, we can give you something. And they were like super down. And yeah, it was just kind of, it was really a pleasure to work with all of these people who like, we were all kind of fans of each other beforehand, you know? Yeah, it was beautiful. It was great.
Heartwarming.
Yeah, exactly. And then we just try and make the scariest short we can, you know, the grungiest pedal to the metal.
Do you know what the goal is for the feature budget?
Yeah, we don't need much. I think it would be like $1 to $3 million.
Cool.
That's prime horror.
Yeah, I think we could do it. And you know, I'm speaking from not a lot of experience, so who knows? And I don't know how that number inflates when you like get into production. But
I think
Isn't
if you
crazy to be like $3 million, you're like $3 million is an absurd amount of money, but like it does get you. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like there are two different versions of millions of dollars. There's like the one that would be like, I would love to have $1 million, and then there's like the one that's like you need a lot of millions to make movies. You know?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's funny.
But it's like, you have 6 million followers. You're not even asking for $6 million.
Yeah, right. Everybody, please give me $1.
$1.
Oh man.
What about I was going to ask you, because you had emailed us weren't we just we were recording another episode when you emailed me saying you heard the Roy call out.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God. That was amazing, man.
Have you talked with Roy?
No, I haven't. I've talked with some folks at Spooky Pictures, like Steven Schneider.
Oh yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, just super nice guys. But I was walking in Park Slope listening to this episode, and like I just heard my name, and like it was like the jump scare from The Shining. Like I just like my heart just like into my throat. I was like, oh my God, like yeah, that was crazy. Thank you so much for saying my name to Roy Lee.
I'm sure he's seen those. He's on there.
He is chronically online in like the best way for a producer. Have you, to that point, have you met other like producers just reached out on their own, or is that still your managers kind of setting up all the meetings? For
the most part, it's my managers. I've had a few reach out into my DMs that I've caught every now and then. Oh
yeah, your DMs are probably wackadoodle.
You know what? Like, it's so funny. Most of the DMs are spam. It's not even like that many real people.
Nick doesn't get these. Maybe you get them. Like it's an old white guy, and he's like, "Al, what would you do if I gave you $5,000?"
No, I haven't gotten this guy. I would love to get this guy. Interesting.
Those are my spam ones.
Mine are all just ridiculous. Yeah, it's all like they're all bots basically. I've like stopped reading them, and then every now and then there's like the sweetest DM I've ever seen in my life, where it's like, yeah, I love your content, and like, yeah, just people being really nice, but they're just buried in these like piles of spam. At least on Instagram, I think TikTok's different.
What kind of advice would you give, or do you give, to like those people that kind of like are like sliding into your DMs? I'm assuming some are asking for advice. Like, what is your kind of favorite thing to tell people?
Yeah, you know what? I've actually never really responded to a DM, and I try not to. I don't know. I'm balancing in my head whether or not I should, and I definitely want to I want to like give back to the community in the ways that like David Sandberg and who else did we mention that does that? But yeah, I want to be that person. But I think the way that I would like to be that person is to like make a feature and then maybe make YouTube videos like David Sandberg does and talk about the process, or maybe like go live and like make a monster and have people watch. Because I think once you start, like, if you respond to one DM, then
you got to
maybe
respond
like
to all of them. It's really stressful.
I unfortunately, I do that way too much.
Do you?
I mean, that's respectable.
I try to at least glance them. Yeah,
I feel like I still have like a hold where I can like go check see if anyone is not trying to give me $5,000 from a bot old man account.
Sometimes it is people that are like, oh shoot, this is like in the wrong folder. Like I want to respond to this person. You know?
Yeah. But I think that's like, it's hard to give advice too, because I think sometimes people are like, I want to be in the film industry. I'm like, God, that's a big range.
Big ask.
Like, what do you want to do in the film industry? Which like, but I think like your path is I think is like kind of the new, it's not easy, but like the new, what is the word I'm thinking of, Nick? Like, it's more accessible for people to do what you've done, like build this audience, make these shorts, and then hopefully get the attention of somebody.
Totally. I mean, like to what I was saying earlier, like I sometimes talk to people who are at the school that I graduated from. And like that's like a conversation that I'm definitely willing to have with like these people who are barely separated from me, or like, you know, over email. I'm always down to chat. And I don't know, that the thing that I kind of tell them is that I don't think your success in this day and age working in this industry hinges on your platform and your relationship with social media. But at the same time, like, you know, you have these platforms that can reach a very wide audience, and you have a chance to, like, I don't know, put your voice on these platforms, and you know, you can tell stories very, very easily with your phone. So I guess, like, if you're confident in making videos and you like have things that you want to do, then why not, you know, utilize these platforms.
I also think it's
different
like,
for everybody.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I'm like, if you're not going to have fun, do not post, don't try to do it, like don't pull teeth. But like the video that Roy Lee, like that got me introduced to Roy, only had like 5,000 views on it. It was like not a video of mine that popped off. And so like you kind of really never know like whose FYP things can like land on and like can land you a meeting. So if you like it.
Yeah, that's also, I'm sure you guys experience this all the time, where like it's almost the opposite. Like of all of my bank of drafts, I at any given time have like 11 to 14 videos ready to go.
Whoa.
Which is great because I film a video and then I wait 2 weeks before I post it. So then when I look at it again before I post, I can really come at it from an objective point of view, and like make necessary changes. But it's never the videos that I think are really great that do well. It's always the ones that I'm almost embarrassed to post, that like those are the ones that people seem to respond to. Like after 3 years, I still do not have my finger on the pulse of like what's going to take off and what's not. It's really just up in the air.
The more effort you put into it, it's like those don't pop off.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. It's funny how that works. It's cruel.
Well, I'm sure you have like, another 12 hours of meetings after this. But we do have a question that we like to ask everyone at the end, which is, can you share, you only have to choose one of these, either a high, a low, or a hell no story from just your time doing this and meeting people and all that.
I have so many hell no's. I like, God, I've made I've made a fool of myself so many times coming out of school in many hilarious and embarrassing ways. Oh God, but I'm trying to, I don't want to like take too much of your time, and this kind of doesn't have anything to do with the industry, but it was more just like finding my life in New York when I moved out of college. And like, there's this really brutal transition when you move out of college, at least as an actor or like a creator of any sort, I'm sure, where you're like, okay, now I was in this space where I was sort of incubated and making work and I was very busy, and now I'm in the city and nobody wants anything to do with me, and now I have to find a job. And one of my first jobs was working, I interviewed at a 3 Michelin star restaurant, which I didn't understand like how important that was. And I didn't understand like what that meant really. I was just kind of like dumb, and I had
not watched the episode of The Bear.
Yeah, The Bear wasn't even out yet. I was like 2017. And so I show up to this interview in a suit and sneakers because I didn't have any dress shoes. And I was waiting outside, and this busser comes by, and he's about to go in, and he was like, "Are you interviewing today?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Is that what you're wearing?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, okay, he got really intense all of a sudden. He's like, there's a Macy's right around the corner. You need to buy dress shoes. You need to buy a new shirt. And then you need to come back. And I was like, I can't. I've got an interview right now. And he goes, oh, good luck. And then he like walked away. And I was like, oh my God. Like, should I go home right now? But then like the maitre d' comes out. She was like, come on in. I go in, and it's like this beautiful, like sprawling place. And it was in that moment that I realized I was like in over my head. I should not be here right now. And she gave me a slip of paper. She was like, take this test and hand it in when you're done. And I'm like, I didn't know there was going to be a test. And it was like, name 5 brands of whiskey, name 5 brands of vodka, name 5. Yeah, just like, and I was straight out of college. So I was like, Kamchatka and like all of these like very cheap brands that I was drinking all the time. And I interviewed with like this, and I'm sorry, this doesn't have anything to do with the industry.
But it's okay. This is good. Also, I love this because I feel like people always try to avoid talking about like the awkward growth period where they were like kind of spinning wheels.
Oh my God. Yeah. I fell on my face so many times. This is only one occasion, but yeah, I interviewed with the maitre d' afterwards, and he was like, what's your favorite? He was just like, what's your favorite movie? And I wasn't expecting that question. And so I just said The Shining, which I'm sure was off-putting. And he was like, and he kind of leaned back in his chair, and he was like, all right, sell me The Shining. I just like I don't even know what I said, but it didn't make the cut.
What is The Wolf of Wall Street?
I know, this is just like very, very intense. Yeah, exactly. He was like, sell me The Shining, and I did not sell him The Shining, I don't think. And then he kind of leaned forward again, and he was like, look, this is not a Ruby Tuesdays. We are a 3 Michelin star restaurant. We just lost a Michelin star. We're trying to get it back. You're going to come back tomorrow, and you're going to have a nice shirt, and you're going to have dress shoes. And I was like, of course, yes. And so the next day, I went to Macy's beforehand, and I bought this dress shirt, and I bought these new shoes, and I show up to the restaurant, and he lets me in, and he takes me like all the way to this locker room where all of these servers like just took showers, and they're like wearing towels. And he was like, I'm going to wait outside. You get changed. And I was like, yes, sir. I go in, and I'm like furiously ripping tags off, and I like put on all of these new clothes and these new dress shoes, and I like, everybody's kind of filtered out at this point, and I look in the mirror for last looks, and I look at my new shirt, and there's just blood all the way down, like streaks of blood down my new white shirt. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like seriously considering just leaving. But I was like, I got to tell him what happened. So I looked down at my finger. I'd been ripping off tags so like violently that I'd like cut my finger, and that's where like the blood was coming from. yeah, it was just a fucking nightmare. And I went back out, and he was like, "You have blood on your shirt." And I was like, "I know, I'm a disaster." And he still let me do the trail shift. He actually gave me one of his suits to wear. And I like did this like 3 hour. I just kind of followed somebody around, and then afterwards he was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "I don't think this is for me." But yeah, I have a million stories like that where I moved to the city and I kind of like really made a fool of myself, and then eventually I was like, I should probably stop drinking. Yeah.
Oh my
That's
God.
amazing.
Yeah.
But like those are
brutal.
like the jobs that you just like, yeah, like the amount of things that I thought I could do like right when I graduated college, and I was like, no, I don't have any skill set for this actually.
Yeah, right. You kind of have this idea of like, well, you know, it's going to take a little bit for things to take off. So I'll like work at some other very high paying job. And then you like, you get to the city and you're like, oh, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's
but you
amazing.
also kind of need that naivete coming out of college.
Yes.
You need to be like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, dude. I'm
Thanks
glad
for
we
having me.
finally got to do this.
Yes.
This is awesome. I think we were gonna try to time this for maybe Halloween. I think that would be cool if we
Great.
can. Yeah, we have a whole
Yes.
schedule, but we'll try to time that.
Amazing.
Right around there. I can't wait to hear. You have to keep us posted on how all your meetings go and everything. And I'll text BKJ right now and probably put you guys on an email.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure. I'm such a huge fan of the podcast. And yeah, I think it's great. I'm happy to be on it.